If you are visiting Alaska in the near future here, first off, congratulations. That's something that a lot of people really do want to do. Not everybody gets to do a big trip to Alaska, though, so congratulations to you. You're going to be in for a real treat. That being said, though, there are some things that we, the residents up here in Alaska, wish that you would know before you do get up here. My name is Jamin Goecker. I'm a realtor in South Central Alaska, and my mission is to help you to build an intentional and significant legacy for yourself and your family by coaching you in real estate. And today, that's going to be our topic, talking about the things that Alaskan residents wish that tourists really do know about. Before we get started, though, give this video a like, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and let's go and jump into today's video. The first thing that residents of Alaska really want tourists to understand is that a lot of tourists do come in, and there's a huge influx of a lot of our smaller communities out here that are really not, they're coming out of the solitude months of the winter where there's really not a whole lot going on, and it's kind of a really slowed down pace of life. And then suddenly you've got this frenzy, everybody showing up on cruise ships or coming through on buses, and it's great. It's awesome for the economy, and I think a lot of people actually are very happy to see tourists when they do show up. For the most part, you do get some cranky people that are like, we don't want no tourists here, but you're find that everywhere. But by and large, most people are going to be pretty excited about, having tourists here, because it's really an opportunity to kind of share the state with people who are here visiting it. And it is a lot of fun to kind of see that awe and amazement in people's expressions when they're seeing Alaska for the first time. Because when it grabs you, it grabs you. It's absolutely thrilling to kind of see somebody else going through that experience that you remember very fondly yourself. So whether you've been up here for like your first year or you've been up here for nearly a decade, probably more than that, then, that's still something special, and that's still something you like to share with people about. So that's number one. Most Alaskans are going to be pretty excited to share it with you if that's really the reason that you're coming up here to visit the state. The second thing that I would point out, if you are an Alaskan resident, it is going to be slightly alarming when you are on the road and you're seeing a lot of rented campers driving around. I'm not going to name any specific companies, but there are certain companies up here that are, very distinguished, and you're going to know exactly who's coming in from out of state and who may or may not have experience with driving said camper. And it's it's kind of like having a moving truck that somebody's rented. You don't really know if that person behind the wheel has a whole lot of experience or they're very comfortable with it. So there's always a lot of trepidation around that. We see a lot of these campers in traffic. It certainly does add a bit of a wild card to our traffic. Let's take a break real quick. If you've been watching this channel for any amount of time, you do know that I focus primarily on the South Central Alaska area. And while that's going to remain the case moving forward, we are actually going to be partnering with our colleagues across the entire state to bring you market updates for what's going on inside the markets of each one of the big market centers here in the state of Alaska, looking at Fairbanks, Kenai, Homer, Kodiak, and Juneau/the Southeast area. So this is going to be a very exciting project called the Trailblazer project. I've not seen this done in any other state before, where we are bringing you all the market updates for the entire state under the roof of one channel. So this is going to be a lot of fun. So when you guys are seeing market updates coming from people who aren't just me on the channel, you know what's going on there. If you guys are really nice, then we might actually be able to convince some of these folks to actually provide some more content and talk specifically about what it's like living in their market. So when you see these videos pop up, make sure to jump over there, give them plenty of likes, plenty of love, give them lots of comments. And just know that that's fulfilling kind of the mission we still have on the YouTube channel to help you build an intentional and significant legacy for yourself and your family by coaching you in real estate, whether that be in South Central Alaska or anywhere else in Alaska that we have our colleagues in at the moment. So just want to make you aware of that, and let's go and finish today's video. The third thing that we really want you to understand is most of your adventures and the memories you're going to be making are outside of the main population areas. Anchorage and the Matsu Valley, while you can do a lot of great stuff and have a great time and really make those memories, it's really going to be in kind of the smaller communities where most people kind of gravitate to, because that's going to be kind of that small town, rustic, rugged Alaska feel that most people are trying to experience. So that's really going to be a big one. The next thing that I really wish people would understand is that most Alaskans are actually very excited to kind of share with you and talk about the state. So if you are curious and you want to like ask questions, go for it. Most Alaskans, they might seem a little shut off at first when you're talking to them. They might not warm up immediately, but if they would not be here if they did not love the state, and if you can get them talking about that, then chances are that you're going to make a new friend pretty quickly. You just kind of have to, gauge the conversation and go at their pace, and let them warm up to you. I know it kind of sounds like I'm talking about middle school or something, but there's some parallels there. Just give them a little time to warm up, and most of them are going to absolutely love talking about Alaska and the fun stuff that you can go and do, because if they didn't, they wouldn't live here. Before we go any further, let's take a break real quick here. If you've been watching the channel for any amount of time, you know that I have a relocation guide for people who are moving to Alaska or thinking about moving to Alaska. If that's something that would benefit you, do make sure to reach out to my website in the description section down below. Text section for comments, make sure you just put relocation guide so I know what to send you. Now, let's go and finish up today's video. One of the big things that I wish people who are coming into the state to visit understood is that most of the over-the-top, hyperbole, off-grid stuff and below zero, most of that is just that, over-the-top, hyperbole. Most of the state is not going to be living like that. You can get that up here for sure. It is definitely not the norm up here by any stretch of the imagination. So I would say probably, check your idea of the fantasy Alaska on your way in, and just come up here and enjoy what the reality is, and don't let the fantasy get in the way of the actual reality. Really the biggest thing that I wish people would understand about Alaska is that geographically it is an enormous state, and it is very diverse in its populations, and who lives where, and like the different living situations all over the place. And there are headlines all over the place, both positive and negative, about the state. And the thing I really wish people would realize is Alaska is big enough for all of that to be correct at the same time. And that's really kind of the big things you got to keep in mind. You need to take a picture of Alaska, or see a picture of Alaska on top of the rest of the continental U.S. just to really get context for how much bigger Alaska is than all the other states. When I say that it's big enough for all those headlines to be correct, that's why. It is absolutely enormous and diverse. Last but not least, I would really want people just to know that when they're taking a trip up here to Alaska, know that you are getting the luxury resort or the vacation version of Alaska. Living up here and then, taking a vacation up here are going to be two separate things. It's kind of like if I go to Florida to go to Disney, that's really not going to give me a good sense for what it's like living in Florida. And it's the exact same way, really, when you're taking a trip up here in Alaska. You're not going to be taking a hike every day. Well, most people, you're not going to be taking a hike every day, or seeing the bald eagle swoop down and snatch the trout out of the lake and all this epic stuff. You may or may not, but usually the experience of living up here in Alaska and then taking a vacation up here are going to be two separate things. That's not to say they are completely different. There's definitely going to be some overlap, but there's going to be some differences there. And if you'd like to chat a little bit and get a better idea for what those differences are, do feel free to reach out to me and through my website or the Facebook page in the description section down below. I'd be more than happy to talk about that. But other than that, hope you have a great trip and go away with a great sense of appreciation and awe and wonder and the beauty of this state. I know everyone who lives here certainly do share that with you.